Today, we are joined by customer experience expert, writer for Forbes, author. You can find out everything she's doing at doingcxright.com. Stacy Sherman, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Stacy, it is my pleasure. You've got a laundry list of excellent achievements. I want to start, though, before we get into the nuts and bolts of what CX is, what customer experience is, and how we can execute on that. Just do me a favor and define what customer experience means in 2020.
Yeah, customer experience is about a journey. From the moment people want to learn, get interested in a product, which has a lot to do with marketing,
Mm.
to the buying experience. Is it e commerce? Is it in a retail store, right? That whole experience of buying and purchasing, to getting your product or service, using it, paying your bill, and getting help, which we know as customer service, not the same thing as customer experience, customer service, which is really important part of the customer journey. But the point is, it's the design of an entire journey and measurement at every touch point to ensure that expectations are met.
So that's really interesting to me. How are we actually determining if the expectation is being met at different points in the journey? Is that basically just a quick survey? How are we figuring that out?
Yes, survey is one tactic, and it's certainly very common, but it's not the only way. And what I like to say about feedback is, and that's known as voice of customer, VOC, to get technical, is that there's a lot of sources of voice of customer. So surveys is one of them. There are a lot of chatter on social media
Mm.
and rating and review sites. There's also your call center has a lot of notes and rep notes. And if you have online chat, what a great source of information. So the true magic happens when you aggregate all the voice of customer insights to then understand your customer views, happy points, pain points. I also want to make sure that people understand that getting the employee feedback is just as important. And whether you are a entrepreneur or you have, two people in your company or 10, whatever, employee engagement is just so important.
Yeah, and one of the most difficult things to do because the reality is if you're scaling your business, there are going to be client and customer touches that are occurring with you not as a part of that at all, right? It's your employees and your staff. Another couple measurables, I think, and that's one of the cool things I like about digital technology is there's other measurables too. Like if you see that your website has an extremely high bounce rate, it's probably because they're not getting a great experience on your website. Same thing with like YouTube videos. If people are checking out or only sticking around for 2 seconds, your customer experience is probably not brilliant. So I love just those practical tips there. Stacy, in your experience, do you think that the customer experience expectation is higher now than it was last year or 10 years ago? What do you think about the expectations now?
Oh, absolutely. I think people were were getting less patient and less tolerant of experiences. Even if you're not in the field, obviously I pay attention everywhere I go. I can't help it. But even for those who don't have that technical eye and know-how, I mean, you call customer service and you just know if you just gave, that auto attendant some information, you entered your credit card, and then the rep answers and says, "Hi, can I have your credit your same digits?" You're like, "I just gave
Right.
that to you." Right? So like before we even said hello, I'm aggravated. And then what happens? A lot of times you're then transferred over to somebody else because they can't help you. I mean, then you lose people.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that with the world of technology and the internet, where everyone's looking for this highly customized, fast experience. I mean, that is, I would say, argue why Amazon is the powerhouse that they are because that obsessive, compulsive commitment to the customer experience. Are there any other companies that jump out at you, Stacy, that are really executing on that right now?
Yes. So, for people who hear me speak, can't help it. I have to say the example again is Starbucks. So, again, there's a reason that I pay triple the cost for a cup of coffee. It is not because I like to pay more. It's because of the experience from the moment I walk in the door, onboarding to ordering what it is, and especially at my local place, they know me, they personalize it, they offer me other ideas, things that I might like. And when they make a mistake, there's no questioning me, the customer. They just fix it. And so on. And obviously I want to go back to something you said because it's so important is the digital, so the app that I'll use before I walk in the door. And you're right, UX, user experience, is a huge part of customer experience, CX. And so those that get that right definitely have a leg up competitively.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So I think that what we need to look at is, as you've already defined, we need to be listening, we need to be watching, we need to be checking our metrics. But what's something practical, right? What's something that me as a business owner in 2020 and beyond, what's something that I can do to really delight my customers, to make them to stand out in their minds as being special? What's something I could do?
Two things: communication, like
Hmm.
over communicate. That is just, it's mind-boggling. It's in our control, and yet it is the number one pain point throughout many different companies, internally with employees and externally with customers. Pick up the phone, even when you don't have the answer or status. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm working on this for you. And so even when they're frustrated, they're more forgiving
Hmm.
because you communicated. The second thing, as a practical thing to do, and I don't care what size business you are, but infuse your customer or your target customer, the personas that you're going for, infuse them in the process of developing your products and your service so that when you launch, it's not throwing it out there and hope it sticks, but actually designed for what they want.
So I think so you hit on a couple of really smart things there, Stacy. The infusion and the engagement and bringing people into the behind the stage pass, getting their input, applying in real time, I think is really smart. Hey, Mark here. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let YouTube know you're enjoying this video. Let me know you're enjoying this video. All right, let's get back into this episode. I want to talk a little bit more about communication, though, because I'm with you. I think that communication, both with your staff, but particularly with customers, is by none the most important thing that you can execute on as a business owner, right? The problem and that trap I think that a lot of us are falling into right now is we're trying to scale communications using bots and automated messages, um, these bulk type of email systems. What are some mistakes that we're making in trying to communicate? We're trying to be there, we're trying to communicate, but maybe we're going too far too fast. What are some problems that you're seeing?
Well, especially with the advent of IoT technology, Internet of Things, and this AI technology, what's happening is that it's great. It can enhance customer experience. But what happens is the human element gets lost. And so what I say is use those technologies, which is great. It, like IoT will notify someone of status, right? Of whatever that is, that there's a lot of examples, but just because the technology gives you an update doesn't mean that the human doesn't call or follow through or communicate. So I think that it's important to balance both and not rely 100% on the technology to be the communication.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that's again, that's always the challenge for me trying to bootstrap this business, this media company here, trying to automate as much as possible and trying to outsource as much as possible, trying to take myself outside the process. So one of the things that I've done that I think everyone should be thinking about doing is just write down a list of all your tasks, all your messages, all your emails, all your templates, and try to find what can I add, what can I subtract, where are the right places. And like you said, looking at measurables. One of the things that I've become really, really passionate about recently, Stacy, is video and video communications.
Yes.
Any strategies that you've seen implemented at a high level to really, really drive that customer experience with video?
I'm a huge believer in leveraging video as a great way to communicate. I do believe that you need to appeal to all audiences. Some like videos, some like to read. So offer both options. But I have definitely been leveraging video more and more, even if it's just to send a communication to say, Thinking of you today. I'm going to be giving you a call in a few days to follow up on XYZ. Messages of appreciation to my team, thank yous. That's how you humanize business, and video is an awesome way to do that.
Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a certain point where video just becomes almost like oversaturated because everyone's doing it. But I do think that right now in Q4 2020, there is a big opportunity. One of the things that I've been having a lot of success with and really connecting is I record like welcome videos, for example, right? So if someone follows me on Instagram, they get a short welcome video, introducing myself, call to action, et cetera, et cetera. And people are blown away. They've never seen anything like that before, you know? So like you said, just to kind of expand on that, anytime you can incorporate any sort of personalized or more personal video, it's a really powerful way of standing out. What
Yeah.
about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say something because with the example you gave that I love, and the reason why I love it is because it's your own form of onboarding somebody, right? So it doesn't have to be a formal product launch, right? Here's an example: someone reached out, and then you're taking it to the next step to humanize that connection. So I love that example because every business can do the same thing to onboard and welcome. First impressions are everything.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And again, it's about standing out, doing something a step above and beyond. And again, when I'm sending these, I pre-record the video. And then you can have your assistant, your secretary, your receptionist, whomever. You don't have to actually go through and send this DM, this message to everyone. Your assistant can do that. So you're still focusing on your business, not in your business, but you're still able to connect with that client in a special way because they're thinking, "Wow, I'm getting behind the stage pass to what John Smith is doing at this company." Um,
Yeah.
super powerful. What about audio? What kind of role do you think audio plays? Obviously, podcasting blowing up right now. What role do you think audio plays in the customer experience?
A lot. So even this morning, I picked up the phone instead of texting a message. I spoke into the microphone and I said to somebody, "Happy birthday. I'm thinking of you from afar." It was really short. Immediately sent me a note. It wasn't a video, it was literally just my voice, hearing my voice, and immediately was so grateful. Something so small. So that's obviously a personal connection at work that I did that. But think about doing that with your customer. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just like you said, personalization.
Yeah, yeah. Any ways you can personalize is just absolute gasoline. And that's one of the cool things that I found with my email list. I'm using ConvertKit to send out my emails. And one of the cool things I really like about ConvertKit is you're actually able to tag your subscribers and your followers. So if you know where they come from, maybe they, for example, let's say you click on a link to my podcast. Well, now I know that you're actually someone who's interested in listening to my podcast. I can kind of appeal to you. I can cater my messaging in a special way.
Oh, I like that. I have never heard that one. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Convert link,
It's called ConvertKit, right?
convert
And
kit.
and that's how I capture new emails coming in. I've automated it in a lot of ways using Zapier. But for example, someone joins my Facebook group, they can automatically get uploaded to my email list. At which point I know, hey, this is a member of my group, so I can cater my messaging in a special way towards that person, towards that niche. So
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it.
yeah, really powerful tool. Because again, I think at the end of the day, finding ways to scale your personalization is where customer experience is at right now, and in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, let's lean in a little bit more into social media, right? Because I think social media is where a lot of interaction is happening. Let's start with mistakes. What are three mistakes that people are making in communicating and delivering a bad customer experience on social media?
Instantly, my head goes to and I get this every day, I'm sure you do too, which is like a LinkedIn invite message to my messages, and it says, "I have a solution for you about blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "You're kidding me. That no, delete, delete."
Right. Wall of text with a link, right?
So delete. Second one cracks me up is, um, "Dear sir, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, have you not seen my face?" Like like, so know your audience, people. Um, and then, I would say also, selling and selling and selling. It's not That's not what social is. It's Social's branding. Social is connecting. And it boggles my mind when I'm seeing people literally talk about them versus like it's just not authentic, and they're selling something as opposed to coming at it of helpfulness that way, not this way.
Yeah, I think that's always a balance. I tend to go by like the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time providing value, entertainment in some way, and then 20% of the time call to action to sell a product or service or sign up for an email list, what have you. Um, so those are three big mistakes, which I can definitely agree on. What are three things? We already touched on a bunch of different ideas, but what are three things that you really look for in a social media channel in delivering a great customer experience?
So I would say from a social media is a great way to demonstrate and give a message that you are employee centric, you're customer centric, and by recognizing and demonstrating what you're doing, showing examples more than telling. And it could be really powerful when you can deliver a message to say, something good that you've done. So, as an example, where I work, they're really focused on elevating diversity and inclusion.
Mhm.
So, rather than just say, we're diverse, right, that won't get attention, but show a picture. And I was lucky to be in it with among a class. It was a 10-month program that I was in with our graduating class of us all, and that we graduated, and a congratulation message, right? So there's just a different approach to get your message out. And so I say be mindful of that.
Yeah, talk the talk, right? Don't just walk the
Yes.
walk. So leaning into this a little bit more, social media, customer experience. A lot of the people that are following you on social media might not actually be customers already, right? They might just be like, "Oh, Stacy sounds interesting. Let me go find her on LinkedIn. Let me go find her on Facebook." So your mess that's one of the challenges with messaging, right? You need to create a message that applies not only to people pre-sale but also post-sale. How do you leverage that? What are some ways that we can try to keep all of these interested parties interested?
Well, one of the things that's a must is when people, customers or not customers, when they're commenting on social media or rating review sites, do not ignore it, because
Mm,
people see how you as a brand are responding. So obviously, unhappy customers who are expressive, put something out there politically right, and then try to take it offline, message that person and really understand, why they're unhappy or what can you do to shift their thinking. Um, but yeah, I've seen many brands not respond, and that creates a perception that you're not customer centric. So you got to be careful.
yeah, I can tell you that's a big turnoff for me. Huge turnoff for me when I take the time to watch a video, post a thoughtful comment, and there's crickets, and then you look back at prior posts and it's more crickets. I think you almost do more harm than good when you're not, like you said, not engaging. You got to engage. It's social media. It's social, right? That's why we're all there. What other trends are you seeing right now that are being executed at a high level that you're saying, hey, this we might have some steam here? We've already talked about video messaging, videos, audio messaging, engagement. What are some other trends that you like right now, Stacy?
I would say that in general about customer feedback, regardless of channel. We just talked about on social responding. But again, if you do a survey, it's really important, this whole concept of close the loop. And even if nobody else is watching, like on social. So if you do a survey, I can't tell you how many times I'll give a brand feedback and then I wonder, are they doing anything with it? Right? So that's so important. And I don't, again, I don't care what size company you are. Definitely ask customers for feedback and then let them know what you did with it. That's the best practice, because then they're going to be more engaged to
Mm.
give you feedback and buy from you because they know that you're listening.
I really like that. That's a really smart thing. When people give you feedback, say, "Hey, I'm going to use this. I'm going to execute on this." The more you can make people a part of your company, the more they buy in. I think, and that's a really powerful thing. And that's just another. As you're talking there, it kind of uh, jogged my brain here a little bit. But a thing that I've had a lot of success with on social media is if someone engages or maybe asks you a question, you give them a shout out. This is really easy to do with something like your Instagram stories. You can create a poll or ask a question and then respond to those in video. Make people feel like they're part of the product. I've done this on YouTube, right? People DM me questions. I'll answer it live on YouTube, tag them. So finding different ways, like like you had mentioned, to get them involved in the process, really big, really big. What role do you think? I mean, so I want to talk a little bit about what's happening now in 2020. COVID is changing the way that business works across the board. And I think a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, a lot of people are scrambling to try to figure out how they can evolve with these changes. So I want to hear again from you. What are some no-nos post COVID? What are some ways that we can avoid negative customer experiences?
Again, you avoid, first of all, I think that everyone's had to go more digital.
Yep.
Um, I have been talking to a small office, a doctor's office, and they're used to everything being in person and
Hmm.
scheduling, and all of that just was in person. So they've had to pivot to online while also have to figure out the in-person balance. So it's tricky. Some businesses, it's really tricky.
It's impossible because
It's
some people want to wear masks, some people don't want to wear masks. You got to,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're talking like safety, not only physically, mentally, right? The whole thing's changed. And so I would say that it's the onus is on all business owners to empathize with each person you're interacting with, making them feel comfortable in ways that you never really had to think about before.
mm,
You can't just be a robot doing your job and follow just a process. You really gotta, it's just a different way of operating and humanizing the experience for people.
yeah. So do you think Zoom calls are effective? These video calls, do you think that's an effective way of humanizing, or does that just make people like, oh, great, another Zoom call? What are your thoughts on that?
I probably am different than most. I love the video calls because I feel like we're together.
Yeah.
And so at work, there's some people that really prefer not to put their camera on. And I always ask, listen, I don't care what you look like. I know what you look like, right? It's a way for us to be together. So I'm a strong proponent of put your video on.
Yeah. Well, and communication is two-way,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
80% of communication is nonverbal. So if you got your video camera off, we're
Yeah.
missing a lot of these important cues. I mean, look, I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with the video. They're just uncomfortable. They don't want you to see, the way their hair looks, their makeup looks. I don't think you have a shot at being successful over the coming decade if you don't know how to present yourself on video. Period. It's part of the deal, right? It's high school all over again, right? Your persona matters, right? The way you show up matters.
So I want to add to that something I've learned during COVID from working from home every day. And I have done a test with myself and I have learned the concept or the power of getting dressed. So there were times in the beginning I would just wear my sweatpants and maybe put on a nice top and brush my hair, and that was it.
Right.
And then the days that I got dressed, put some makeup on, very minimal, but something I felt good in, boy, my energy was different, is different. So I say get dressed, show up, even if even if it's from home.
Yeah, the power of your morning routine, super, super powerful. And look, we're just dropping a ton of different ideas on all these business owners. Stacey, I can't thank you so much. You can find out a lot more at doingcxright.com. She's going to hook you up with way, way more than we can just touch on here in this short chat. So listen, we talked about a ton of different ways to engage, to build that relationship and to drive that customer experience forward, Stacy. So, Stacy, let me ask you here. What other trends are you looking out for right now? We've talked about COVID, we've talked about video, audio, we've talked about social media, email marketing. What else is out there? What else are we looking at right now?
I would say for people to really study the true methodology of customer experience. It's not just a word, and customer satisfaction doesn't happen automatically or overnight. And so I encourage people to really listen, learn. I mean, there's some formal CX certifications you can do online that will benefit any business. It's something I did, I found a lot of value in doing that anyone can contact me about from different universities offer it. I recommend you read blogs like mine and others. Really start to immerse yourself in what customer experience is and how do you do it because it's not going away. It is a brand differentiator. And that's where we're going. As I said about Starbucks, people are not when product and price are relatively the same or similar, it's experiences that's going to win.
Right. It's that brand experience. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Stacy, I want to get into a few rapid fire questions here before I let you go because I just got to know. You ready? You ready to rock and roll?
All right, let's go.
All right, cool. Buckled in. Stacy, if you woke up in the morning, there was only one business task you could do for the day, what would you do?
Take my to-do list and prioritize now, soon, and later.
Now, soon, and later. I like that. I'm just kind of curious. I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. When you say later, how later is that? Is that a week, a month, a year? What does that to-do list look like?
So my my to-do list, oh boy,
Is long?
it's long and I can't tell you how many times I put things in today now and it just doesn't belong there.
Mm,
So it's very very conscious holding yourself accountable that you can't do everything today. Um Later for me is doesn't have a timeline. What happens for me is I get so many creative thoughts, so many in an hour or maybe a minute that I don't want to forget them. So they belong parked somewhere and then I can free up space in
right.
my brain.
Right. Something that I do to do that is just, if something happens on my phone, I'll just take a picture, I'll take a screenshot, I'll review it later. I'll take a note, because freeing up that brain space, whew, makes you feel good. Makes you
Yes.
feel good.
Yes, very
What
much.
Stacy, what's your favorite subscription right now?
Ooh. Um oh, this may sound very I don't know, girly or I don't know what's a better word, but I'm a huge Oprah fan, huge.
Okay.
And so I subscribe to everything when there's a new anything of hers, a book, a podcast, a show she has. I just find her really inspirational. So that's my fast answer.
Love it. Definitely a master of the customer experience, Oprah is. Very, very
Everything.
powerful.
Yes.
She's a wizard. Um, let's talk a little bit about items that every business owner should have that cost less than $50. What we need.
Ooh, less than $50. Wow. I'm starting to say, because we talked a lot about video, I feel like video technology, like a small microphone, a little lighting, I feel like that is a smart investment because that is how we're communicating. And I don't know how long COVID's going to last. So embrace that technology. It works.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Some lighting and a mic. You do that for less than $50 easy. And honestly, even when COVID leaves, I don't think things will ever return to exactly the way that they were before. I just don't think that's gonna happen. Stacy, if you had 10 seconds with yourself 10 years ago, what would
Oh,
you say?
God, that's good. Boy. My younger self, I would have said trust the process. I think that um I think I worried about things that never happened.
Mm,
So yeah, there's definitely It's not about religion. It's not about, there's just something up above, whatever you want to call that, is just, it delivers, the universe delivers at the right time. And so just trusting that, because it always proves right. You just don't know why in the moment.
That's fair enough. I like that optimism. I like that. And final question here for you, Stacy. If you had a billboard message that could reach millions and millions of people today, what would you say?
Lead with a heart.
Love it. Stacy said it. I agree with it. Stacy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed this episode. I've got several other episodes right here for you. Smash one of these videos to make sure that you don't miss out on the tips, tools, and tactics of industry experts. Let's take that side hustle full time. Smash one of these links.